Thank you for joining us for this look at the best original reporting from KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Coming up, reflecting on January 6th. Hear from San Diego's Congress members as they remember the attack on the Capitol. A business boom south of the border. Why companies are bringing manufacturing jobs back to Tijuana. And see how the childhood game of double dutch is helping a group of local women build their sense of community. Kids return to classrooms across San Diego this week as COVID cases continue to spike. Testing is the key to making sure communities are safe. We have two stories from KPBS reporters MG Perez and Alexandra Rangel on this challenge for schools and for parents.
This truck is headed to the Chula Vista Elementary School District, loaded with COVID-19 at-home antigen rapid test kits. The Poway Unified School District, Escondido Union, and Jamul Dulzura districts scored big too. They were some of the lucky ones.
The response was overwhelming. We've got 42 school districts, 130 or so charter schools. So it's a lot of people competing for a limited, scarce number of test kits.
Based on Governor Newsom's December promise to provide 6 million rapid tests to public schools across the state, the San Diego County Office of Education requested 500,000 test kits to cover students here. They got 193,000 of them in these boxes, delivered late Tuesday. The word went out, and within minutes, they were all reserved and then distributed on a first-come, first-served basis today. Hector Corona is the Director of Student Services for the Darnell Charter School in Southeast San Diego, which has 512 students in kindergarten through 8th grade.
Anxiety levels a little bit up, especially right now with the surge that's going on. But we're doing as best as we can. You know, we're maintaining the safety protocols, and you know what? We're there to serve our students.
Districts that did not get supplied today are now on a waiting list for a future delivery whenever that happens. Nancy Hensley showed up, mistakenly thinking she could get a rapid test for her 8-year-old son.
Some people in our household came out positive, and we need to send him back to school, so I want to test him again, just make sure that he's okay.
The surge in COVID cases and confusion has forced educators and school officials to change directions constantly. Public health in the new year is now as important as learning. San Diego Unified has put a pause on off-season extracurricular activities for the rest of the month in an attempt to stop the spread of COVID. A written statement said, in part, after consulting with our medical experts and to lessen the possibility of transmission through the highly contagious Omicron variant, the district has instituted a pause to off-season athletic practices for the remainder of January. San Diego Unified continues to monitor and assess the threat. The district received its rapid test shipment before winter break. These valuable boxes are on their way to other students around the county, waiting to know if they have COVID or not. MG Perez, KPBS News.
Here they told me they don't have it no more.
Who did you need the test for?
My daughter.
A mother in need of a COVID test for her sick daughter cried in desperation as she feared she was too late. But as tears rolled down her face, National City Mayor Alejandra Sotelo Solis handed her one of the last kits they had and told her, "Don't cry, we got you."
This is life or death. So for a person to be waiting here at 5:30 in the morning to get 2 tests, per box.
She said it weighs heavily on her heart. National City had 1,000 at-home COVID testing kits to give to the community on Tuesday. And the lines outside the city library mirrored the massive lines we've seen in previous days across the county for COVID testing. Esther Torbert had already been to several libraries in search of a COVID test, but she didn't have luck until today.
I heard about this at 5 o'clock, so the first thing I did was call a couple of people. Come on, I'm in the car, come on, jump in. So my daughter-in-law, the only one that jumped in.
Torbert says she needs the test to keep her family safe. Tests were only given to people present on Tuesday. 1 test kit per person only, and each kit came with 2 tests. Mari Carmen was given one of the last tests before they ran out.
Fue una bendición que hayamos alcanzado.
She says it was a blessing that there was still enough for her. National City has been one of the communities hardest hit by COVID. Mayor Solis says they're working with the state health department to get more tests as the need is clearly high. The National City School District says they're also working on getting testing kits for students before they return from break on Monday. Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
KPBS.org has more information on local case numbers, testing, and all of our reporter stories. Just go to our homepage and click on Tracking COVID-19 under the News section. If navigating the pandemic isn't enough to deal with, a school in North County is confronting hateful graffiti. Melissa May tells us this isn't the first time San Diego Academy has been targeted.
At 3:55 a.m. on January 1st, a single youth spray-painted the front of San Diego Academy with racist and homophobic slurs. Today, students, parents, and community leaders came together for a rally.
I wasn't surprised. I wasn't in shock. I honestly said to myself, really, again?
I was not surprised in the slightest, and it's disappointing to know that I honestly felt no reaction. It was obviously disheartening, but it's like, this has happened so many times that it's like, it's become nothing new.
Aya Jaffer is a junior at San Diego Academy High School. She says she doesn't feel safe in the district.
I feel like we're constantly, I never know what's gonna happen. There's constant threats. And especially this year in particular, it has felt rockier than ever to be a marginalized student in this district. And it feels scary and it feels unsafe.
Yusuf Miller is from the North County Equity and Justice Coalition.
We're here to denounce the hateful speech that was spray painted on the walls of this building, which has been removed. This is not an issue of a one-of. This is an issue of a systemic problem that has been going on in San Diego Unified for years.
Leaders from the North County LGBTQ Resource Center and the NAACP were also present at the rally and are calling upon the San Diego Union High School District to take action. Superintendent Dr. Cheryl James Ward could not make it to the rally today, but says she is open to meeting with all community leaders.
We're becoming a no place for hate district. Every school is a no place for hate school now. And we are starting our training with the Anti-Defamation League.
James Ward has been a resident of Encinitas for over 15 years and says the San Diego School District does have issues and appreciates the community's efforts.
I appreciate the grassroots efforts. But I did not want today to be political. It's not political for me. It's about kids, and it's about ensuring that kids get what they need. There's a lot of trauma, and I don't want this to be political.
The school district is working to identify the youth, and although James Ward cannot guarantee that vandalism will not happen again, she talks about what the district is working on.
I can offer for sure are the things that we're doing to change. Right? We have diversity, equity, and inclusion training from the County Office of Ed that's happening on with all of our campuses.
Staff and student leaders are also going to take part in training from the Anti-Defamation League. Jaffer is a Muslim Arab American and has a message for anyone who was affected by the recent event.
You were never alone in this fight, and like, I'm here, we're all here, all of these people are here for you and for your feelings, and it's okay to feel hurt. You should feel hurt, and you should feel angry, and you should feel mad, and you should want change right now, because that's what we need that momentum.
Melissa May, KPBS News.
The San Diego-Tijuana region is a major hub for international business. KPBS border reporter Gustavo Solis recently traveled south and found one sector in particular is thriving despite the pandemic.
This is the sound of Tijuana's booming maquiladora industry. The daily thunder from thousands of cargo trucks shipping goods into the U.S. through the Otay Mesa border crossing. And these trucks carry everything from Topo Chico hard seltzer to Toyota Tacomas assembled just outside Tecate. Each one is a sign of what's shaping up to be a new roaring 20s for Tijuana's maquiladoras, which are manufacturing and warehousing facilities along the southern border.
This is undoubtedly the most exciting and the most dynamic time period we've had in the maquiladora industry for decades.
Ernesto Bravo works for Tecma, a company that helps foreign businesses move to Mexico. And they've been doing it since the 1980s. So that makes Bravo a resident historian for the bustling border town's maquiladora industry.
The industry was born really in the 70s. It grew significantly in the 80s and the 90s. In the 2000s was a bit of a challenging period with China coming into the WTO, the World Trade Organization, and enjoying certain benefits in terms of international trade with customs and duties and all that kind of thing, a lot of manufacturers actually migrated to China.
But over the last few years, those companies that left, they're coming back.
We have seen reverse migration, if you want to say, from Asia to Mexico as companies realize that they need to be closer to their clients, and with the U.S. being the #1 market in the world for everything, virtually, you want to be the closest place you can be and still enjoy somewhat of a low cost of labor relative to other countries. Mexico is definitely your closest choice to get into the U.S. market.
The pandemic has made it abundantly clear that saving money by shifting manufacturing away from North America is a bad bet. Mauricio Tortolero heads the real estate division at the TP legal law firm in Tijuana. He witnessed firsthand what happened to businesses that expanded supply chains before the pandemic. One of his clients thought they could save money by opening a manufacturing facility in South America, but...
And when the COVID situation started, that product wasn't able to come or to arrive here in Mexico or in the U.S. in time. So all their operation got delayed, and it was a big problem for the company. So now that they saw that, well, we cannot set up all the way to South America, even though this and this, we may have this and this benefit, we need to set up closer.
The fastest growing sector in Tijuana's maquiladora industry has been fulfillment centers. These are essentially repackaging and shipping warehouses that take advantage of a little-known section of the U.S. tariff code to avoid paying fees on certain imports. Under Section 321, companies don't have to pay fees as long as they ship items worth $800 or less directly to U.S. customers. So instead of shipping items in bulk into the country, companies are setting up fulfillment centers just south of the border. The result is these centers are popping up all over Tijuana. Compared to just a year ago, the growth has been
10 times at least. 10 times, and we know that probably is going to grow more.
Adriana Eguia works for Vesta, one of the biggest industrial developers in the region. She says the popularity of fulfillment centers is driven by changes in how we shop, as much as it is by disruptions in the global supply chain.
We used to go to shopping centers physically, but now, since a lot of people are now into lockdowns or need to be at home, and there's money also still coming to the homes, people are doing that, right? They're buying things from home, and since you need a structure for that to happen, that's why Tijuana changed a lot in terms of now having fulfillment centers because of the demand.
Experts who follow Tijuana's maquiladora industry are bullish on the market. Demand is high, and the underlying conditions behind this boom don't seem to be going away anytime soon.
Unless there is a change or unless there is a specific something catastrophic happens, I think that we will continue to see growth in the sector.
But there is at least one big potential roadblock: Tijuana's infrastructure. Businesses need stable sources of water and power to run warehouses. They need roads to transport goods across the border. And they need a reliable transit system for their employees to get to work on time. Historically, Tijuana has not invested in infrastructure, and that could come back to haunt the city.
What needs to happen now is a lot of will from governments and business people to put on investment into the infrastructures of the cities, because if we keep on growing and there's no more roads and security and lighting and everything that the city needs in order for keep on the growth, it's going to collapse.
But for now, expect the trucks to keep on rolling at Otay Mesa. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
That story was one of our most popular this week at kpbs.org and on our YouTube page. People are watching a story by KPBS race and equity reporter Christina Kim. She met a group of women who found being a kid again helps them recharge and reconnect with their community.
Any given Wednesday night at the Allied Gardens Community Center, chances are you'll hear the sound of music echoing off the basketball court cement. You'll also hear the sound of women, all over the age of 40, laughing and playing double dutch.
I'm excited when I come to Double Dutch. Like, when I know it's Wednesdays, you can ask my husband and my son, I'm like, it's Double Dutch Wednesdays. Now we're getting ready to jump.
That's Citra Shields, the captain and founder of San Diego's 40-plus Double Dutch chapter. She first started the club last summer after seeing a viral video on Facebook about the original 40-plus Double Dutch group in Chicago.
And I said, wait, where are these women? I need friends like this.
She organized a club and then started spreading the word locally.
And I put these videos together and I put it on Black San Diego and asked, hey, I'm looking for women over 40. If you're interested, DM me. And I had about 50 plus women.
15 of those 50 women became the core San Diego chapter. They're all older than 40 years old and proud of it. In fact, their ages are emblazoned on the back of their club t-shirts. That's the only rule. Everyone's welcome, but you have to be a woman and you have to be over 40.
We don't want to deal with men, with boyfriends, with husbands. We don't want to deal with kids. We want this to be a time for us.
Pamela Robinson is the founder of the first 40-plus Double Dutch group in Chicago, and she oversees over 100 subclubs around the world.
We want this to be a time for us because at the age of 40, you do so much for other people. We're always doing for other people and holding everything together for everybody else. So we need some time to just hold ourselves together.
Back in San Diego, Rosa Barr Williams has been part of the group since the beginning.
I think it's just bringing out the youth in all of us. And that's why I think it's the 40 plus. You know, although you're 40, it doesn't matter. You can still come here, have fun, bring your childhood games with you. Because like I said, I've been doing this since childhood.
The formula is simple. Each time the club meets, they take turns playing Double Dutch, they hula hoop, and they dance.
You got it.
It's really good exercise, but it's also more than that.
I've had several horrible days, and if it wasn't on a Wednesday where we do meet, it was one of my sisterhoods in the back behind me, all of my sisters being able to help me out, being able to just reach out outside of the whole jump. You know, Wednesday is just the day we come together, but we're there for each other each and every week.
And that sisterhood is exactly what Regina Dixon Reeves was looking for when she joined the group after moving to San Diego in July.
We have such a small black population in San Diego, about 5%. And so I was just looking for people who kind of looked like me, who had some of the activities that I did.
Shortly after moving, she had to get emergency dental surgery. She didn't know anyone. It was Rosa, her fellow jumper, who took care of her and told her,
"Girl, you here by yourself. I'll drive you. I'll see about you. I'll make sure that you're all right, right?" If I hadn't had this group, I wouldn't have had that connection, right?
In the end, it's a place all their own, where they can reconnect with who they used to be.
For an hour, hour and a half, you get to just kind of laugh and joke and be a kid again. Be a black girl. That is wonderful. Because one thing about it, many of us black girls, we grew up a lot too fast. And so this gives you a chance to revisit that.
Because sometimes, in order to be an adult in this world, it helps to remember what it was like to be a kid again. Which is why every Wednesday, these local San Diego women are making the time to lace up their sneakers and play until the lights go out. Christina Kim, KPBS News.
Encinitas hopes a new e-bike program will be a last-mile solution for commuters and those who just want to get outside and explore the beach community. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne shows us how it works.
Encinitas visitors will begin to see colorful electric bikes and docks on Coast Highway. Similar to other bike-sharing programs, the electric bike is unlocked through a cell phone app. But this program has a major difference, says Tim Perkey with Encinitas Beach Cycle, which is running the program.
Accountability. It provides for a much nicer experience for both the rider and just the community.
To complete a ride, the cyclist must return the bike to a docking station.
You never will have bikes just abandoned in front of businesses, on sidewalks, in intersections, and anything like that.
Perkey says that the bikes are for adults 18 years and older. But in other cities, kids have still found ways to ride. But B-Cycle has set some safety limitations.
We have them limited to 15 miles an hour so that there's not going to be excessive speeding through town and really just encouraging smart, safe cycling.
Encinitas Mayor Catherine Blakespear hopes this trial will expand to other cities.
And my hope is that we are able to have a lot more than 65 bicycles, that we can double that, and we'll have it not just at our train station, but all along the El Camino Real corridor, and people will be able to have monthly passes where they can get on their bicycle and ride it to work and then ride back to the train station or to the bus or to however they're getting themselves back to home, and that this will be part of their commute.
30-minute rides are $7, and monthly and annual passes will be available. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
A bit of history this week in San Diego. Military reporter Steve Walsh tells us about the first U.S. carrier commanded by a woman.
After 9 months in San Diego, the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln left North Island. Its commander, Captain Amy Bauerschmidt, joined an elite group, becoming the first woman to captain a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. She says she hasn't felt the extra scrutiny.
From the team on board, no. The team on board is the utmost professionals, and we just need to get a job done. So, they've been incredibly supportive. It was an incredibly smooth transition when we did our change of command. They have done an incredible job getting ready for deployment, so the team on board could not be more amazing.
The naval aviator said she didn't expect to reach this goal when she graduated the Naval Academy in 1994.
Yeah, I concentrated on one step at a time. I've stayed around as long as I've still had fun and have a great team to work with, and I'm still having a blast and still have an incredible team to work with.
Bauerschmidt took over just weeks before a helicopter accident on board the carrier killed 5 of the crew. The accident is still under investigation.
And it is always a tough experience, and no one is ever prepared for something like that, and everyone deals with it in their own way and process it in their own way. So we had a lot of help ensuring that the sailors were prepared and ready to go for the rest of the training cycle. It was a tough day that none of us will ever forget.
The carrier strike group is headed toward the Western Pacific. An undisclosed number of sailors on board the ship have tested positive for COVID. As the Navy continues to update its protocols, they will remain on board in isolation. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
One of San Diego's most prolific lawmakers stepped aside this week. Democrat Lorena Gonzalez resigned from the state assembly to lead the California Labor Federation. She says part of her decision is based on redistricting, which split up her current district. Fellow Democrats David Alvarez and Georgette Gomez have already announced plans to run for the vacated seat. Politics and democracy were major themes this week as the nation marked 1 year since the attack on the U.S. Capitol. KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen got reaction from San Diegans serving in Congress.
Congressman Scott Peters was in the gallery watching the proceedings when the mob attacked. He said it was a great shock to him and his colleagues. 1 year later, they're still trying to figure out what happened.
We're on our way to figuring out exactly what happened, how to make sure it doesn't happen again.
One of the insurrectionists killed that day was Ashley Babbitt. She was a former Air Force veteran and lived in Peters District. He remembers the chaos that happened that day.
I remember being part of that and being amazed and upset that this could happen to what has to be one of the top terrorist targets in the world, the United States Capitol. The security was certainly a failure.
For freshman Representative Sarah Jacobs, last January 6th was only her 4th day in Congress. She said it made her realize that her job is protecting and defending democracy.
We can no longer rest on the strength of our institutions because our institutions are the ones being co-opted. But as dark and scary and difficult as that all sounds, and it is, I believe that there is a path forward.
As optimistic as some local representatives are, one political expert expressed doubt about the future of the United States. Barbara Walter is the author of How Civil War Starts and How to Stop Them. She told KPBS Midday Edition the seeds of civil war were sown last January 6th, and that the U.S. is now considered a semi-democracy.
The United States was downgraded to anocracy for the first time after January 6th of last year. It hadn't been an anocracy since 1800, and it's no longer considered the world's longest standing democracy. So we are an anocracy, and that hasn't improved since Joe Biden has been in office.
The UCSD political science professor says racism and the fear of changing demographics have been feeding dissent. Congressman Juan Vargas says he and his staff were ready to fight back the mob last January. He says he recognized how close our democracy came to failing that day.
I mean, what would have happened if Donald Trump, as president, would have turned the military against the people? In other words, if he would have decided, I'm going to stay in office by using force. I mean, he at that point was still the commander-in-chief for another 2 weeks.
He says he's disappointed in some of his Republican colleagues who, to this day, won't stand up against Trump for fear of losing an election.
And it's sad. I mean, it's cowardly, obviously, but it's also sad.
He praises Representatives Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger for standing up for the truth. Darrell Issa, San Diego's lone Republican representative, released a statement saying the weeks and months that followed the January 6th attack were, quote, devastating for the nation. But he spent much of the statement attacking the Biden administration. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
We hope that you enjoyed this look at KPBS News this week. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thanks for joining us.